Here are the top stories for today, September 29, 2021. Voters registration is extended. People's champion Senator Manny Pacquiao announces his retirement from boxing. Health Secretary Francisco Duque wants Pharmally to pay if tampering on face shield's expiration date is proven. And PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said government projects have been fairly distributed across the regions under the Duterte administration. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Voters registration is extended up to October 31. The extension was unanimously approved in an unbanked meeting this morning. Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez says the filing of the certificate of candidacy will begin on October 11 until October 30. The extension is October 11 to 30 except Saturday except October 30, which is the last day of voters registration. Jimenez says all registration services will be offered, which include new voters, transfers, and reactivation, among others. Meanwhile, overseas registration will run for 2 weeks starting October 1st until October 14. The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is all set for the filing of the Certificate of Candidacy. Marita Moahe will give us an update on the preparations being done in the provinces.
In Metro Manila, the MMDA will implement a one-way traffic scheme at the CCP complex for the filing of the Certificate of Candidacy. The Commission on Elections has set a maximum of 2 escorts per candidate. They also need to present a negative antigen test or RT-PCR test taken within the last 24 hours before the filing of their Certificates of Candidacy and Certificate of Nomination and Acceptance. Meanwhile, only 1 aspiring candidate and 2 companions will also be allowed inside the Comelec office at a time. Other candidates will stay at the tent or holding area outside the provincial Comelec office. Media interviews will also be done at the media's tent outside the office. In North Cotabato, election officers in the area strictly implement the no COVID-19 test, no COC filing. Representatives who tested negative for COVID-19 can personally file on behalf of candidates who have not undergone testing. And in Antique, candidates could no longer hold a unity walk before filing their certificates of candidacy. Candidates are also waiting for information from the Antique Provincial Police Office if they can still sign a covenant for an honest, orderly, and peaceful election, as being done in their previous elections. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Moahe.
People's champ and Senator Manny Pacquiao is officially retiring from boxing. In a video statement posted on Facebook, the 8th Division World Champion announced his retirement from the sport after 26 years. Pacquiao made a comeback at boxing last August in a bout for the WBA Welterweight Championship against Yordenis Ugas, which he lost. Earlier, he accepted the nomination from the PDP Laban camp to run for president in the 2022 elections.
Today, I am announcing my retirement. I never thought that this day would come. As I hang up my boxing gloves, I would like to thank the whole world, especially the Filipino people, for supporting Manny Pacquiao.
Senator Panfilo Lacson said there is no link between President Rodrigo Duterte and Pharmally Pharmaceuticals Corporation. Lacson said the Senate hearing into the purchase of alleged overpriced medical supplies was not enough to implicate the president in the deals between Pharmally and the Department of Budget and Management Procurement Service. Lacson, however, insisted that the Senate acted within its powers when it ordered the detention of Pharmally Director Lincoln Ong, as he has been evasive in his answers to the senators. Citing a non-disclosure agreement, Ong maintained that he cannot divulge the amount that former presidential economic advisor Michael Yang lent the company to help them fulfill the medical supply orders. He also declined to hold an executive session with the senators. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said Pharmally Pharmaceutical Corporation should compensate the government if it's true that the company changed the expiration dates of medical-grade face shields. In the recent Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, a Pharmally official admitted changing the expiration dates of face shields procured by the government for medical frontliners. During a meeting with President Rodrigo Duterte, Duque said he instructed the Department of Health's Procurement and Supply Chain Office to assess the production dates of the face shields delivered to the government. He said the medical-grade face shield contains foam and garter that may deteriorate over time. However, he said the product should have a shelf life of about 36 months. The Armed Forces of the Philippines received the third tranche of donations of medical equipment and supplies from the Australian government. In a short ceremony held at Pier 15 of the Manila South Harbor, the Australian government turned over its donation of medical equipment, supplies, and personal protective equipment worth 57 million pesos. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, AFP Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Jose Faustino Jr., and AFP Health Service Command Head Colonel Edgar Cardeñosas were on hand to officially receive the donations, consisting of high-flow oxygen machines, stretchers, RT-PCR kits, face masks, face shields, and PPEs, among others. The equipment and supplies will be turned over to V. Luna Medical Center. 12 to 17 years old with comorbidities will soon be vaccinated. The Department of Health said they will now be part of the A3 priority group. It says this group would follow once adequate coverage of the A2 priority group or the senior citizens has been achieved and vaccine supply becomes sufficient. The DOH recommends that children with comorbidities be vaccinated with clearance from their pediatricians or trained doctors or from on-site trained physicians. The DOH said there should also be informed consent by the parent or guardian of the child. The DOH also renewed its call for those eligible among the adult population to get vaccinated to protect other children who are not eligible to receive the jabs. The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, is looking at achieving population protection by the year end. This as PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar announced that 85% of total PCOO personnel and its attached agencies nationwide are already vaccinated. In PCOO proper, 433 employees or 93.12% are now fully vaccinated, while 15 personnel are waiting to resume the inoculation this October. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Communication Services is the first PCOO unit to reach population protection as all of its 119 personnel are now fully vaccinated. The Presidential Broadcast Staff, Radio Television Malacanang surpassed a high vaccination rate of 98.08% as 154 out of its 156 personnel are fully vaccinated. PTV is currently at 92.13%, while IBC is at 94.81%. Other PCO-attached agencies like the Philippine Information Agency, News and Information Bureau, Apple Production, and the National Printing Office also recorded a high vaccination rate of 88 to 90%. Aside from PCOO personnel and its dependents, some members of the Malacanang Press Corps were included in the vaccination drive. Still to come, a lawmaker calls for more safeguards against COVID-19 transmission in schools holding pilot face-to-face classes. And the Quezon City government offers stimulus packages for businesses affected by the pandemic. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Hi everyone, James Deacon here. The COVID-19 vaccines are finally here, and the government wants to make sure the vaccines reach us. So let's do our part by making sure that we get registered to be included in the vaccination list of our LGU. You can register right in the comfort and safety of your own homes through your LGU's online registration platform. You can also register on-site in the vaccination venues or through your barangay. Remember, getting vaccinated is the first step towards ending this pandemic. So let's do our part as disciplined citizens. Bida ang may disiplina. Magpakarehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
A lawmaker on Tuesday said the Department of Education should set up safeguards against COVID-19 transmission in the schools that would hold pilot face-to-face classes. Muntinlupa Representative Rufi Biazon reiterated measures that will address transmission in schools in addition to the vaccination requirement for teachers and non-teaching staff. He suggested that students and school personnel with comorbidities should be barred from participating in the pilot run. Biazon also proposed to augment schools with medical personnel and isolation facilities. He further said rooms or buildings may need to be converted into quarantine facilities or retrofitted to provide adequate ventilation. The DepEd and the Department of Health on Monday signed a joint memorandum circular outlining the guidelines for the pilot face-to-face classes. A former official of the University of the Philippine system said academic freedom is already protected by law and not by institutionalizing the 1989 UP Department of National Defense Accord. Former Executive Vice President Dr. Ted Herbosa said House Bill 10171 does not protect academic freedom because it is already guaranteed by Republic Act 9500 or the University of the Philippines Charter of 2008. He said House Bill 10171 does not ensure that academic freedom protects others from lawless elements present in any of the UP campuses. Herbosa also said he is aware of things other than communist recruitment happening in campuses since the UP-DND Accord existed, such as illegal gambling and illegal drugs. The Department of National Defense earlier said clandestine recruitment takes place inside UP campuses nationwide using the UP-DND Accord as a shield. Meanwhile, concerned civil groups protested outside the Senate building on Tuesday to denounce Senate Bill number 2002, which will reinstate the UP-DND Accord. In a statement by the Liga Independencia Filipinas, League of Parents of the Philippines, and League of Youth for Peace Advancement, they said the bill will make up a haven for communist terrorist groups as it grants minimal intrusion by state forces into the state university. They said the bill will make children more prone to CPP-NPA-NDF recruitment. The House of Representatives passed its version of the bill on September 21. Over 2,100 police personnel in Negros Occidental have received COVID-19 vaccines, with less than 100 being left unvaccinated. More on this and other news from the provinces from Laid Kabagani.
A total of 2,189 uniformed and non-uniformed personnel of the Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office have been vaccinated against COVID-19. These personnel assigned at the NOCPPO headquarters, 31 city and municipal police stations, and mobile force companies are either fully vaccinated or have availed of the first dose of COVID-19 vaccines. Lieutenant Abigail Donasco, spokesperson of NCPPO, said only 77 personnel remain unvaccinated, 59 of whom who are with comorbidities who have yet to be cleared for inoculation. Since the Philippine National Police does not have its own COVID-19 vaccine supply yet for personnel in Negros Occidental, police officers availed of the shots provided by the provincial government and the host local government units. Meanwhile, the Department of Health in Central Visayas said they are closing all COVID-19 vaccination sites run by the local government units to pave the way for Purok or zone-level inoculation of eligible individuals. This as they wait for the release of the guidelines for vaccination of ages 12 to 17 and the allowance of the general population approach instead of subgroups. The shift in strategy will follow the concept of bringing the vaccination right at the doorstep of the LGUs. The target timeline for this new scheme is mid-October. In summer, at least 60 tourism workers received the first dose of anti-COVID-19 vaccines on Tuesday as part of the celebration of World Tourism Day 2021 in the province. The 60 individuals are workers in hotels, community-based tourism sites, and activities run by people's organizations from the towns of Basay and Paranas and Catbalogan City. The Department of Tourism said out of an estimated 695 workers in tourism sites and establishments allowed to operate during the pandemic, only 200 of them have been included in the initial list submitted to the regional office. With vaccinated tourism workers, this will boost the confidence of tourists to visit destinations in the region. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Lid Kabagani.
Cashless transactions will soon be the norm as the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, pushes for registration with the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys. The DSWD said cashless transactions or linking PhilSys with bank accounts is one of the goals of its adoption of PhilSys, along with financial inclusion. The agency will soon pilot test PhilSys for verification and identification of its social welfare program beneficiaries. DSWD is the first national government institution to partner with the Philippine Statistics Authority to utilize PhilSys in their programs such as Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program and assistance to individuals in crisis situation. As of September 15, over 30 million have completed the Step 2 registration process, or the face-to-face biometrics capture. The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, has provided livelihood assistance to 120 micro-enterprises in Bulacan. This livelihood seedling program, Negosyo Serbisyo sa Barangay, or LSP-NSB, brings government services closer to the people in partnerships with local government units. The livelihood kits contain items that will aid in the recovery and improvement of the beneficiaries' businesses. Priority assistance shall be given to micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, affected by calamities including health disasters arising from epidemics and pandemics. Provincial Director Edna Dizon said the DTI, through the Barangay Development Council, shall help equip barangay personnel to provide basic business advisory or information dissemination services to MSMEs. Meanwhile, in Quezon City, the city government did its part in helping revitalize the economy amid the pandemic by distributing stimulus package for small and medium enterprises. A total of 104 businesses are included in the Kalingang QC sa Negosyo program for small businesses Phase 2. The program previously assisted displaced workers who have not received other financial aid like the Social Amelioration Program or the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. The QC Small Business and Cooperatives Development Promotions Office also provided business startup capital to resigned or displaced workers, unemployed solo parents, and persons with disabilities, or PWDs. Up next, the Duterte administration assures the fair distribution of government projects across all regions. And the country's Olympic medalists urges student athletes to follow their dreams amid the COVID-19 pandemic. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom. You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The Duterte administration has poured efforts into providing fair and equal distribution of projects to regions across the Philippines. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar said that through the Build projects, the government was able to help shape the countryside aside from further improving urbanized areas. He cited big-ticket projects outside Metro Manila, such as the Cebu-Cordova Link, Expressway in Cebu, and road connectivity projects in Region 12. He said the government continues to inject or pump prime the economy, especially in the last 8 months of President Rodrigo Duterte's administration. Andanar also mentioned the PCOO's initiatives to decentralize government communications, including the completed Mindanao Media Hub and the ongoing construction of buildings for the Philippine Information Agency, or PIA. Almost 10 days after their peace was disturbed by an armed encounter, residents of Barangay Tabu in Ilog, Negros Occidental declared the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army and its political wing, the National Democratic Front, as persona non grata. In a peace rally held on September 23, the villagers marched as they condemned the atrocities and the extortion activities of the communist terrorist groups. They also held a candle lighting ceremony and prayers for peace and protection from terrorism. The activity was also supported by the local government unit of Ilog 14th Civil Military Operations Battalion, 2nd Negros Occidental Provincial Mobile Force Company, Ilog Municipal Police Station, and the religious sector. The village was caught in the clash between government forces and NPA rebels in Sitio Balik-Balik on September 14. The clash resulted in the death of 4 rebels and the wounding of 2 others. In our news overseas, the Japanese government will end the COVID-19 state of emergency covering Tokyo and 18 prefectures and the quasi-state of emergency for 8 regions on September 30. This would be the first time since April 4 that none of Japan's 47 prefectures would be under either a state of emergency or a quasi-state of emergency. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said the situation has improved as the number of new COVID-19 patients has drastically decreased. He said rapid progress in vaccination efforts has made it possible to gradually relax restrictions. Daily cases in Tokyo dropped from more than 25,000 in August to 1,723 on Tuesday. Weightlifter Heidelin Diaz, the country's first ever Olympic gold medalist, and other members of the Tokyo Olympics team provided inspiration to aspiring student athletes during the recent Pinoy Sports Heroes, the ultimate Balik Eskwela Pinoy Sports Con. Diaz told student athletes how sports changed her life while encouraging them to continue pursuing their dreams amid many challenges, including the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic. Nesty Petesio, the country's first female Olympic silver medalist in boxing, said the 2020 Olympics team gave her a chance to prove that she could be on the podium through hard work. Boxing Olympic silver winner Carlo Paalam and bronze medalist Yumir Marshall, finalist Carlo Edrialulo, Marjeline Didal, and EJ Obiena, and Paralympic swimmer Gary Behino also related the journey of their respective careers. DepEd Undersecretary Elaine Del Pascua said the event aims to inspire, motivate learners and student athletes amid the pandemic. At a time when children cannot go out and play due to the spread of COVID-19, 5 kids have developed an idea for an app that could encourage others to be physically active. The app is called Kids Routine App for Kinetic Energy, or Kraken, which is paired with a wearable device that uses augmented reality, Internet of Things technology, cloud, and 5G wireless technology. The Kraken app would help encourage kids to be active through various games that could make them exercise multiple parts of the body. The device would also allow users to communicate with each other in real time. Grant Wong, Mona Obedosa, Aliana Beato, Sira Garcia, and Owen Gocheco created the app when they joined Globe's 5G hackathon recently. The group, who called themselves Team Vortex Runners, presented their idea during the demo day on September 21. Brian Call, 5G Hackathon program head, said they are looking forward to how they will grow Kraken's capabilities in the future. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Voters registration is extended. People's champion Senator Manny Pacquiao announces his retirement from boxing. Health Secretary Francisco Duque wants Pharmally to pay if tampering on face shields expiration date is proven. And PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said government projects have been fairly distributed across the regions under the Duterte administration. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And it is finally 87 days to go before the Christmas holidays. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.